Now, Aure Mazda Hashem Vahu Vahishtemasti Ushtasti Ushtahamaya Tashai Vahishtai Hashem Maname Ahura Mazda. To think a good thought, to speak a good word, to do a good deed is righteousness. Happiness comes to those who live with the consciousness of righteousness. And with that sentiment, ladies and gentlemen, this is Meher Amal Saad, and welcome to BaHumata, a program designed to build oneness with the consciousness of righteousness in humanity. The goal is not to grow the plant, but to plant the seed for each one of us to blossom with our own love, light, grace, joy, and peace. So sit back, relax, and get ready for this very special journey to enlightenment. And as you do, please join me in giving a warm Zartushti welcome to our very own Zartushti neuroscientist from United Kingdom, Dr. Karishma Koka.
Thank you, Baba Meher. Welcome, everybody. The BaHumata program is particularly to share the messages of Asho Zarathustra Sahib and the principles and the practices of the Zartushti Daina. The program is recorded, and while we make no express or implied representations or warranties about the accuracy or suitability of information, we do recognize that each person is sharing with a good mind whatever they choose to do so. We're grateful to Mr. Meher Amal Saad, mentor and facilitator of BaHumata, and I'm grateful to my mummy for co-founding this program with me. It was her idea, so that we can send out powerful and united vibrations of peace and love for the good of all. The principles of BaHumata are to share the knowledge in the prayers, the principles and practice of the Zarathustra Daina, and to honor our priests and knowledgeable elders who give us the knowledge and pass on the traditions. And very importantly, to build a bridge of communication between elders and the youth so that there can be empowerment based upon knowledge and good leadership for the good of all. As we build the fellowship with good thoughts for world peace, happiness, and prosperity for all, the way Asho Zarathustra intended. The program is on the first Sunday of every month at 8 a.m. California time. And our speakers focus on the three principles: Humata, the concepts of goodness from the prayers and their own good thoughts. Hukta, with good words, they share words and prayers with their meanings, but also their own insight, so that we can get ideas for Vashta, speakers' interpretations for good actions. May I now request Ervad Brigadier Behram Pantaki to start our program off with Aham Bandaki. Ervad Sahib, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Hamazor Mao, Namazor Ma Shobao, Hamazor Ma Nekibao, Hamazor Ma Korebao, Namazor Veshkerfebao, Hamazor Kam Gunabao, Hamazor Zartostidin Rastiao Boktarbao. Dinay Mazdayas Noun Hakikan Durustabam. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ervad Sahib, Brigadier Pantaki. Today's program is focused on the theme Infinity in Divinity and Divinity in Infinity, with a focus on the Gathic verse Yasna 31.11 and other Zartushti prayers and references of our speakers choosing. Our four speakers are Ervad Brigadier Behram Pantaki, Ervad Sahib Yazad Sidva, Radman Khorshadian, and Cyrus Driver. These were our speakers last month, and they follow the same principles each month. Reverend Brigadier BaHum Pantaki is a very special individual, being both a soldier and a priest. As he says, soldiers and priests are remembered only in times of distress, but rest assured, Arvad Sahib, we think of our priests very regularly. And we're most grateful to our soldiers for giving us the freedoms that we all enjoy. Every moment, every breath, we enjoy these freedoms. Brigadier BaHum Pantaki has the distinct honor of being a fully qualified, ordained and practicing Zoroastrian priest and a career soldier, having served in the Indian Army for over 30 years.
With the ADC to Maneksha.
Absolutely right, ma'am. He was the ADC to
General Maneksha.
Air Chief Marshal Maneksha, I think.
No. General Maneksha.
General Maneksha. Thank you. Now, he commanded the 2 White Gorkha Rifles, and during his career, he has held important staff and instructional appointments. He has battle experience, having been deployed on the Indo-China and the Indo-Pakistan borders, fought insurgency in Nagaland, Mizoram, and in the Punjab. He has singular honor of serving as the aide-de-camp to Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw for over 6 years. And in 1994, opted for early retirement to join his family in the United States of America. Since his arrival, Arvad Sahib Brigadier BaHum Pantaki has been serving the Zoroastrian community of Washington metropolitan area and is also the Zoroastrian faith leader of the Washington chapter of the Interfaith Conference. Arvad BaHum has co-authored with his wife Zenobia a coffee table pictorial book titled Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw, The Man and His Times. The book is dedicated to men in uniform who laid down their lives defending the country and to their widows whose sacrifice is in equal measure. The entire royalty from the book is donated to the War Wounded Foundation and the War Widows Association of India. Until recently, Arvad Sahib Brigadier Pantaki was the Director of Human Resources at the Kingsbury Centre, a non-profit organization that provides special education to differently abled individuals. He's now retired, re-employed, and in his own words, the unpaid chauffeur to Mrs. Zenobia Pantaki, the wife. Arvad Sahib Brigadier Pantaki, over to you.
Yes. Are the slides, shall I? Hello, everyone. Firstly, thank you very much, BaHumata team, for having invited me to participate in today's webinar. In next few minutes, I shall be talking on the subject that has been flashed on the slide. How can we use the principles of Humata, Hukta, Huvarasa to accomplish the concept of infinity in divinity and divinity in infinity using our good mind? Now, infinity and in divinity and divinity in infinity is a concise and profound statement that encapsulates deep philosophical and theological relationship between concepts of limitless, that is infinity, and divine universe of Aura Mazda, that is divinity. The phrase reverberates the philosophy that Aura Mazda is eternal, uncreated source of goodness with infinite power, infinite knowledge, and infinite presence. His divinity is expressed as boundless wisdom and goodness, transcending limitations of time and matter. Yasnaha 31.11 speaks about the power granted to humanity. That is the power to act, power to speak, and power to guide. And every individual is granted the ability to freely choose their own path. By using good mind, that is Vomana, to choose the righteous path, the finite life of a human actively participates in the internal divine order. According to Zarathustra, the world is a battleground between good and evil. And every individual has not only the freedom to choose between good and evil, but also has the responsibility to promote good and vanquish evil, and move not only himself, but the world towards frashokarity, which is the final resurrection. The followers of the Prophet had foreseen that in the fast-paced 21st century, his adherents, like Behram Pantaki, would have very little time for the Prophet's philosophy. So they devised a short prescription for daily life. They coined a triad of 3 words. And where do we find it? It comes in Yasnaha 19.19. Kat humatem asavanem manasapoidio, kat huktem matrospento, kat verstem satoi taischa, asha poriaischa damebesh. So, what is good thought? It is the righteous first thought, which is humata, thought for an evil-free universe. Then comes the word. What is the good word? It is matra spenta, which is holy word. Hukta describes spoken words of matra spenta. Every time we recite our prayers, avastha or pasan prayers, you are reciting good words. What is a good deed? The praise of truth and righteousness. Huvarashta. It is reflected in actions that lead towards bringing all creations to pristine purity. The concept of humata hukta is, as we all know, is the fundamental ethical code and is either explicitly stated or alluded to throughout much of our scriptures and liturgy. It appears in varying grammatical inflections in many of our daily prayers. As we will see, let's start from the beginning. We do our Kusti prayers every day. We recite Jasameve Ange Mazda. There we come across a phrase, Humatem Mano, Huktem Vacho, Huvarashtem Shotnem. Then we recite Aivisutrem Ge. There is a phrase, Frayo Humatem, Frayo Humatanam, Frayo Huktanam, Frayo Hushtanam. Let's go forward to Nyayashis. In Khorshid Nyas, in Mer Nyas, in Hormazias. Even when a child is being initiated in Navdat ceremony, we recite a short prayer called Frastuye Humatoi Byascha, Huktoi Byascha, Varshoi Byascha. And in the same prayer, in little later, we come across the phrase Humatacha, Huptacha, Huarashtacha. Then there is a short prayer called Vispa Humata, which is listed after Khorshid and Mernias before Namsata Esne. There we come across a phrase Vispa Humata, Vispa Hukta, Vispa Havashta. In Patet Pashimani in Karda 12, we recite Humatapa Manashne, Huktapa Gavashne, Huarastapa Kanashne. Let's graduate to Yas. In Farvadin Yas and in Zamyad Yas, there is a sentence called Meretvantem Humataischu, Meretvantem Uktaischu, Meretvantem Varstaischu. Then we come across Yasna Haptangaiti. This is a phrase or a paragraph. Everyone has listened to it endlessly during Jashan prayers, during flower ritual. Humatanam, Huktanam, Varshtanam, Yadacha, Anyadacha, Vereziamanamcha, Vaveresnanamcha, Mayai Bizaretaro, Nainai Staro, Yatanam, Vonamai. This is recited twice. And when the Jyoti is reciting the first time, please recall, he picks up 3 flowers which are in the right row, and he picks it up from top to bottom the first time. Humatanam, Huktanam, Varshtanam. When he repeats this paragraph the second time, he picks up the flowers from the second row, but in the reverse order. In the ascending order. Humatanam, Huktanam, Varshtanam. Then in Sarosius Vadi, we come across a phrase called Frayo Humato, Frayo Hukto, Frayo Varshlo. Before I go further, I would just like to make a comment that we recite these words, Humata, Hukta, Huvarasta, they are not words as simplistic as they sound. We tend to use these words in a very casual manner without understanding the true meaning or its interpretation. So let's analyze them. Here is the first word, Humata. It's the foundation of good thoughts. To lead a meaningful life means you connect with infinity in divinity. You cultivate your Vahumana, the good mind, have a positive mindset, have a pure and benevolent mindset. Focus on virtues and truth rather than resentment, greed, and malice. Then let's get on to Hukta. Sorry. It is the manifestation of good words. Cultivated thought is expressed through speech. Speak with kindness, with honesty, and with good intention. Use language that uplifts and encourages and always communicate truth. Avoid gossip, slander, and criticism. Very difficult to practice this in this material world. Lastly, foundation of good, Uvarashta is the fulfillment of good deeds. This is the culmination of process, putting good thoughts and good words into action. Perform deeds that contribute to well-being of others, community, and the world. Now, how do we practice this Humata, Hukta, Varshta in our daily life? Focus on positive, think well of yourself and others, instead of concentrating on finding out what is wrong, whose mistake is it. Focus your mind on constructive ideas. Refrain from negative situation. When faced with a difficult situation, choose to look for a solution. Look at the brighter side rather than dwelling on the problems and negative emotions. Seek wisdom and truth. Engage in activities that nourish intellect and spirit. Indulge in reading, writing, and always, if you read, if you write, I'm sure well-informed mind is likely to generate good thoughts. And lastly, forgive those who have wronged you. Overcome resentment and anger. Again, very difficult to practice in today's world. Uvarashta, practice act of kindness. Incorporate small unsolicited acts of kindness in daily routine. Small things like holding a door, helping a neighbor, offering a genuine compliment. Pick up something which is dropped out of somebody's pocket. Be a responsible steward. Very important for being a Zoroastrian. Practice environmental stewardship, recycling, conserving resources like water and electricity, protecting environment, showing respect for nature. Fulfill duties with integrity. Diligent and honest in work, responsibilities, civic duties. Be a conscious employee. Be a good student. Be a responsible family member. Not only behave when somebody is watching you, but behave when you are not being watched also. And finally, practice charity. Donate time, skills, resources to a cause you believe in. Charity is not for getting recognition. Charity is not for getting a plaque, but charity should come from heart. And finally, I would say, infinity in divinity points to the eternal nature of divine truth. Divinity is boundless, and infinity is imbued with divine order. Living with this awareness means aligning our finite lives with eternal values, purpose that transcends time. It is through our daily prayers that we reinforce our commitment to ethical living and align our spiritual and worldly actions with the principles of Humata, Hukta, Huvarashta. By continually striving to align our inner self with our outward expressions of words and actions, we work towards a life of righteousness, which is our ultimate goal. The triad of Humata, Hukta, Huarasta reflects the belief that we humans have the power and responsibility to align our mind, our speech, and our action with truth and order, thereby contributing to the cosmic struggle against falsehood and chaos. I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Brigadier Behram Pandit. Indeed, super.
Sorry.
Superb, as Mummy said.
Thank you, Jaru. I appreciate it.
Really distills some of the most relevant points from the teachings of Asho Zarathustra Sahib for us living our life in today's world and in the future. Speaking of the future, we have one of the brightest minds from Ayurvedic, from the Athornan lineage. That is our youth speaker today, Ervad Yazad Kayomars Sidhwa. Ervad Sahib Kayomars Sidhwa was born in Mumbai, in India. After spending 5 years in Sydney, in Australia, he moved with his family to Houston in Texas in 2008, where he has grown up. His parents are Ervad Sahib Kayomars and his wife Farzana Sidhwa. And he also has a sister, Rihanna. At the tender age of 11, Ervad Sahib Yazad reached a significant spiritual milestone when he was ordained as Navar in the Vacha Gandhi Agyari in Mumbai. This early achievement marked the beginning of his journey as a Mobed and his enduring commitment to serving the Zoroastrian community and upholding the teachings of the faith. Deeply rooted in the Zoroastrian Association of Houston community, Ervad Sahib Yazad has performed jashans and naujots, and for the past 12 years he has participated in the annual 10-day Muktad prayers. During his final 2 years in the ZAH Sunday School Youth Group, Ervad Sahib Yazad served as the president and treasurer. Most recently, Ervad Yazad was on the programs committee for the 18th North American Zoroastrian Congress, a very successful Congress too, hosted in Houston in December 2024. In this capacity, he contributed to program planning, content development, and the overall success of this major international event. Academically, Ervad Yazad has earned his bachelor's degree in computer science from Texas A&M University, followed by a master's degree from the University of California, Irvine, completed in December 2024. Professionally, Ervad Sahib Yazad has been employed at the Eaton Corporation, where he has been serving as a software engineer in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, since March 2025. With his blend of faith, service, leadership, and academic excellence, Ervad Yazad continues to exemplify dedication to his community and the Zoroastrian priesthood, carrying forward a legacy of devotion and integrity. A lot to achieve in parallel. A huge note of gratitude to your parents and to yourself, Ervad Sahib Sidhwa, and of course to your sister for her support. Please unmute yourself and take the stage.
Thank you so much. That was a great introduction. And thank you, Behram Uncle, for the presentation. It'll be hard to follow that, but let me do my best. Share my screen. Hopefully it's visible. So yeah, like I said, hi everyone. My name is Ervad Yazad, and today I will share a few reflections on the theme of infinity in divinity and divinity in infinity, and I will focus on Yasna 3111. Now, I want to start by saying I'm no expert on this topic by any means, so I'm still learning just like all of us, but I'll do my best to explain these ideas in a simple and grounded way and hopefully share what they mean. So, when we hear the phrase infinity in divinity, it almost sounds poetic, but Zarathustra wasn't writing poetry. He was describing a reality, and that the divine essence is boundless, limitless, and eternal. And when we say divinity in infinity, we acknowledge something equally powerful, that this boundless essence is present in everything around us. It's not something distant, it's both universal and personal, and it's something that we can actually experience through the good mind or BaHumana. And so today, we'll explore what this means at a very practical level and how we live with purpose and how we let the infinite guide our everyday choices. So, Yasna 3111 reminds us that divinity isn't restricted by time or space, and that it's more of an eternal presence. And it also reminds us that God's goodness is infinite, and we access that infinity through the good mind by thinking wisely, choosing the truth, and living with purpose. And so, this also means that our relationship with divinity isn't limited either. We are invited to grow from knowledge to wisdom, and from wisdom to living an optimized and meaningful life. And so for me, the simplest way to put it is this, that God's goodness has no limits, and that unlimited goodness is present in all creation. And so this understanding doesn't just stay in our minds, but it shapes how we think and how we act, as well as how we speak. And so, how do we bring this infinite vision into our very daily or very finite daily lives? And Zarathustra gives us a clear path, which is Humata Hukta Hubrashta, or good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. And like BaHumata said, these aren't just moral rules. They are how we align ourselves with the divine order or with Asha. And when our thoughts and words and actions are aligned, we aren't just living ethically, we are actually participating in infinity. And we are tuning ourselves to something greater or something eternal. And so, one of the most beautiful things about our faith is that it teaches us not to ask for blessings, but to actually become a blessing. And so when we hold divinity through humility, service, and compassion, we allow that infinite to flow through us. And so a small act of kindness, or even a comforting word, or even a moment of patience. These may seem tiny, but they create ripples that extend far beyond what we can see. And so every good deed becomes part of this chain reaction, reaching places and people that we may never even know. And this is exactly what infinity is expressing itself through us. So I've always loved this idea that science looks at how the universe works and spirituality explores why it matters, and that science reveals the laws and spirituality reveals the purpose. And so when we bring the two together, we don't have to choose between logic and faith, and we can actually start to expand our understanding. And so there's an S in science and spirituality. And when those come together, we step into something more powerful, which is infinite possibility. And so we start to see the world not just as physical matter, but as a meaningful, interconnected, and purposeful existence. So the more we reflect on this relationship between divinity and infinity, the more that we see that the two are not exactly separate. And divinity carries the essence of infinity in the sense that a presence that's timeless, boundless, and full of potential. And infinity carries the essence of divinity because without purpose or meaning, infinity would be empty. And the bridge between the two is something incredibly simple, which is humility. And so humility allows us to recognize that while our lives are finite, we are still connected to an infinite source, and that awareness, our perspective changes. And so life becomes less about what we can accumulate, but more about what we can contribute. So, what's our call to action here? It's that Zarathustra reminds us that every thought and every word and every deed is a chance to express infinity through divinity. And that when we live with purpose, when we choose wisdom, when we practice compassion and serve others and stay aligned with Asha, we are not just living day to day, but we are practicing in something eternal, and that we're bringing the infinite into our everyday life. And so that's the true union of science and spirituality, I believe, is to understand the world and then to elevate it. So when we look at Yasna 31:11 in a simple way, Zarathustra is reminding us that when we use our mind with wisdom and clarity, we naturally come closer to Ahura Mazda. And that God's guidance isn't something imposed on us, and it comes when we try to think well and understand what is right. And so in daily life, this means that we pause before we act, choosing truth over convenience, using kindness as a strength, and seeking real understanding and not just fast, quick information. And so when we do that, we align ourselves with God's goodness. His strength supports those who use their mind for good. And I think that's the essence of this verse. So yeah, thank you all for taking the time to be here today. It means a lot to share a space of reflection with you. And also like to thank Mayor Uncle and Karishma for giving me this opportunity. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Arbat Saib Yazid. Very, very clearly put. Thank you for explaining the verse and its relevance to our daily life. Splendid. And wish you all the very best to grow from strength to strength. Our next speaker today is Radman Khorshidyan. Radman joins us from Iran today. Thank you very much for doing so. Radman is a Zoroastrian futurist with a multidisciplinary background spanning physics, business, and futures studies. He holds a master's degree in social foresight from the University of Trento and is a member of both the Iranian Zoroastrian Youth Network and the Iranian Zoroastrian Priest Council, the Mabeds Council. As a founder of Gitti Now think tank and a board member of the Italian Futurist Association, his work explores the intersection of complexity, utopian imagination, and the cultivation of wisdom. Radman's core inquiry centers on how humans can develop inner wisdom to shape more ethical futures, and how individuals can uncover their kishkari, or personal calling, as a path towards meaningful contribution and transformative foresight. Thank you, Radman. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for this time. I'm trying to explain my understanding about this part of Gahan, and maybe it's not complete. That's my understanding. Maybe in the near future, I have different idea, but as I understand about this part of Gata, the main idea is talking about two spiritual entity or two menu entity. One of them is the Sepanta menu, and another is Angra menu. We know that one of them is good and another is bad. But interesting part, or as I understand, the difference between these two things is not about one of them is beautiful, one of them is good, totally good, and another is not beautiful. Because as in the Gata said, both are very similar to each other. but one of them can't create life and another can create a life. The difference is these two. And based on this idea, I think we can't judge the beliefs based on how beautiful is that or how we think it's good or not. But the difference is in the practical way. That in the practical way can create life or can't can create life or can't create life. So the interesting part is that um, the Sapanta menu, I think the Sapanta menu is about understanding the truth, understanding the universe as it is, and the Angra menu is somehow illusion about the universe, somehow the pseudoscience about the universe, and in this part of Gatha, we understand the two school of thought. I think start from the shamanism. We can say there was two shamans. One of them trying to create the illusion about the universe or control the community based off in this delusion and create somehow a dark magic about that can control the community by creating illusion about the universe. And another one, the good person, they try to create a clear understanding about the universe. And I think this part, this school of thought or this heritage continue to 2 days. And I think in the element part of this heart, Ashu Zarathustra told us that when we select one of these two paths, one of path is truth, one of Sapanta Menu based on truth, based on Asha, and another one based on lying to yourself. You enter in the two different mental world. One of them is integrity, paradise in the mind, and another one is a droge or the lie land maybe. That's based on the lie, and it's not the lying moral lie or lying to others. It's a lying to ourselves. So when we choose one of these paths, we enter to these two different worlds, and it's continued because when you start to manipulate your cognition, manipulate your understanding about the universe, you can't stop that. You continue to lying to yourself. The interesting part is that's in the today challenge with AI. Also, we have this problem. Some AI tell us delusion. When you ask something from AI, they fabricate some different things. They are very interesting, but they are fake knowledge. It's not a true knowledge. They can't help us to understand the universe, the truth. And somehow the dark magic and white magic is continuing. And us as Rosterian, we trying to create understand the universe based on truth, based on what it is, and create the universe, help Ahura Mazda to advance the universe and create the universe. I think this part of Gata is about that. And as a futurist, I think our question about future is not what will happen. The question about the future is how we can create the better world, better universe based on our wisdom and help Ahura Mazda to advance the universe. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Radman. Our next speaker today has been invited with a very special background. We have the World Congress next year in Singapore, and many of us may not realize it, But our Zoroastrian Congresses actually bring us all together in a way that helps us understand what the Zoroastrian faith is all about and how we can take the world forward with these principles to build a more sustainable world for the next few generations. And we're grateful to Cyrus Driver and the committee for putting together the World Zoroastrian Congress for 2026. Cyrus Driver says he is a proud Zoroastrian, a doting family man, and a private equity investor. He grew up in India in a Zoroastrian household that instilled in him the Zoroastrian ethics and a deep sense of pride in our heritage, but an admittedly low knowledge of our scriptures, religion, and rituals. And the latter is a gap that he has tried to fill as an adult through curiosity and the joys of the internet. Cyrus says he's a consummate family man with a beautiful wife, Parinaz, and 3 lively sons, Jehan, Farhad, and Rushad. And he's unabashedly a doting father. His oft-repeated demand of the kids is that they give him 9 Zoroastrian grandchildren for his retirement, a demand that is dismissively brushed off for now. But he says we should see what the universe provides. His 25-year career as a private equity investor has been split between Mumbai and Singapore. And he's now based in Singapore and works for a Swiss-headquartered global investment firm Partners Group, for whom he leads their Asia-Pacific private equity team. We're very grateful to our BaHumata team member, Petras Vivina, for introducing Cyrus Driver as a speaker today, and to Baba Meher for putting it all together. Over to you, Cyrus. Thank you.
Thank you, Karishma. So I participate today from a different vantage point than the other speakers. I come at it very much as a seeker of knowledge rather than a dispenser of it. Allow me to explain. So I grew up with Parsi parents, strong sense of Zoroastrian or Parsi ethics as I understood them, and I loved it. They rang true to me. I could feel it in my BaHumata, the principles of personal choice, the importance of truth and righteousness, and for its own sake, not as a transaction, but for its own sake, of good versus evil that explained the world around us and the many tragedies we see, a respect for nature, a harmony with nature, and the goal to live a happy life. There was no need to be an ascetic about it. Grew up in a country with over 1 billion people. Our numbers were very few, but I felt in my heart we had the best value system. Grew up also very proud of the history of our Parsi ancestors in India, everything that was achieved. Wanted my 3 sons to also feel this sense of identity, carry it forward to their kids. In adulthood, I discovered my ignorance about the scriptures, read many translations of them, of the Gathas, but I still failed to have clarity in my mind about them. So if you ask me to present with conviction off the top of my head, a translation of any prayer other than the Ashambhahu and Yatha, I would fail. So I'm still in search of a translation of the Gathas that is simple enough, elegant enough, and rings true to me, such that I could, without having to make any effort to memorize it, rattle it off to my children. So I would ask of the scholars on the call, I hope one of you does that. I hope we can coalesce around a translation that rings true to a lot of people. For today's discussion of Gathas, Yasna 33:11, I looked up multiple translations online. I found over a dozen. The one that spoke most to me is a translation by K.E. Kanga, published in 1934. I'll share my reflections on it. But at this point, I'd just like to tie it to the work our volunteer group is doing for the World Zoroastrian Congress next year. I'm one of a group of 40 volunteers, of which about 12, 13 of us are in the program committee. None of us is a religious scholar, except perhaps Kersi Aspar, but our qualifications to do the job, to put together the content for the Congress are a curiosity to learn from the best in our community, B, a strong desire to see us coalesce and grow and thrive, and for our youngsters to stay inspired by the faith. And C, we are completely shameless in asking for help and have reached out to many Zartustis around the world to bring the best and the brightest together for our Congress. As I read through Kei Kanga's translation of Yasnas, and I started from 33.1 and went through 33.14, 33.1 resonated with me because it had a reference to Ratu, or the chief religious leader. And it struck me that we don't really have that today. We don't have a leader that the community looks to as for spiritual leadership, for judgment, and maybe we should. So one of the topics our group is putting together for the Congress is a panel discussion about Mobids of 2050, where we aim to bring together younger Mobids from around the world to discuss a generation from now in the year 2050. What would they hope the roles of Mobids are? What changes would they like to see? How do they deal with our geographic dispersion? Another topic we have that also speaks to seeking for a Ratu is a panel called Youth Voices, Priestly Wisdom, where we will collect questions from the youth, surveyed, and pose them to a panel of one of the Vada Dasturs from India, ideally the head of the Iran Mubid Council, and ideally the head of the North American Mubid Council. They have not confirmed their participation yet, so we've reached out to all of them. We hope to have them, and we'd love for the youth to be able to ask their questions directly of our high priests. We also seek to put together a workshop on Zoroastrianism 101 for people like me that would like to know more. A session on Eat, Live, Pray that explains the significance and the symbolism of our ceremonies from the best experts globally in them. As I read through then and I reached Yasna 33.3, it said, if you help a righteous and pious person, regardless of their rank, it is as if you were engrossed in their meritorious deeds. So similarly, we seek to bring forward a lot of great Zartustis and be engrossed in their deeds. So the goal we've set ourselves for the Congress is to have 80 to 90 Zartustis from around the world on the stage at different points, ensure that at least a fifth of them are new voices, so voices that have not been heard at previous Congresses. We'd like to ensure half are women. We'd like to ensure at least a third are below the age of 40, so we have a strong youth voice. We'd like to ensure at least 10% are speakers from Iran, who have been unfortunately left out of conferences hosted in the West because of visa issues. Singapore doesn't have those issues. We have the support of our government. So we'd love to have a large Iranian congregation actively engaged in the Congress. And we'd like to have a balance of geographic balance of the community from all around the world. As I reflected further on the translations that spoke to me in Yasna 33.1, as well as in multiple lines through 33.4 to 33.14, there are exhortations to good thoughts, good deeds, work that is in harmony with righteousness. And the way that resonates through our program is we are going to have multiple sessions rooted in contemporary excellence done with integrity. So we're going to have a panel of large industrialist families and how they preserve value. We're going to have a panel of self-made CEOs that run multi-billion-dollar companies and how these values help them in their work. We're going to have a panel of famous artists and sports persons from within the community, a panel of leading academic researchers through the community. We are planning networking sessions for lawyers, for doctors, for other professions, wherever there's an interest. So we want to emphasize that it is good deeds that is at the core when done with integrity. And we're also going to have a strong Zarathusti from Surat attempt to break a Guinness World Record in a feat of strength. So there will be a lot of celebration of excellence and good deeds. Finally, Yasna 33.9 says, Ahura Mazda and BaHumata increase goodness and strength. They bestow happiness to a person according to his or her actions. What we see in that is a call to action, to actually doing something about things you care about. And in our program, we therefore have some panels that are dedicated to tangible projects and initiatives going forward. A discussion on demographics, a panel of philanthropists on how, where philanthropy should head so it has impact and is not just handouts. A global competition of youth projects where we aim to seed fund the winning project so it sees the light of day. Finally, I just say that we're, as a community in Singapore, we're a small community. We are honored and delighted to be hosting this Congress. The city-state of Singapore, much like the Zarathusti community, always punches way above its weight, and we intend to do so as well. I've touched on some of the more serious objectives of the Congress, which is really the substance at its core, but there will also be lots of fun. We're going to have a global talent show, Z's Got Talent, 2 big parties, a Zarathusti quiz show with lots of prizes, a Z Bachelorette competition. So if any of this interests you, if you'd like to lend your voice on our website, please apply to be a speaker. Please come speak your truth. And let's make this a Congress that moves the needle for us. With that, thank you, Karishma, and Meher, and Petros for the opportunity.
Thank you very much. I do hope Congress becomes one of the biggest of all time and brings together people to learn so much and add value as you've described, and have a lot of fun.
Thank you.
And the many, many tens of maybe hundreds of hours that you and the committees put into this will surely be very much valued by everyone. Thank you in advance. As we come to the end of today's session, what we are doing is now opening the floor in a moment to all of you to ask questions first, specifically to speakers, and then to share from your own perspective whatever you would like to share. It doesn't have to be at that point related just to the session today. Now, as we go forward, let us give a note of gratitude to our BaHumata team for all that they have done in 8 years, recognizing that Erbat Sahib Behram Paktaki is a part of the BaHumata team. And thanking Petros for putting us in touch with Cyrus Driver. 3311, which Cyrus spoke of, is here for you to reference from Erbat Sahib Kawas Jedalji Kanga. If you need the word-by-word translation, that is also available. And 31 verse 11 is here, put together from Erbat Kanga, from Taraporwala and Bartholomew. Most people say we do not have a definition of Ahura Mazda, this infinity that is our divinity. But here in this verse, you will actually see that it tells us that Mazda created all of creation with the laws, and through the mind gave the power to take action, gave words of guidance to choose with conviction. So it's not freedom of choice. It is to choose with conviction in accordance with purpose and one's desire, so that we can actually build this idea of Mazda that works through our mighty and Asha for a purpose to bring prosperity to the world, so that we are manifesting Vahumana and Kshatra Vairya. And thereby, with every deed, with every good action, we bring something good to someone, now or in the future. With that, let's take our first question as I spotlight our 4 speakers. Please reference this particular speaker you are addressing your question to, Sam. And thank you, Sam, for your good work in California and your alliance with the government and the Association of California. Over to you.
Thank you. Yes, thank you very much. My question is for Brigadier Saib, Ayurved Saib Pantaki.
Yeah.
So we are talking about the various trifecta of matra. I would like to know if you have any opinion of Vashusha Matra, Matra Sapanta, and Avastha Matra. This trifecta, I believe, is like 3 steps of the ladder. And we are talking about Huvata, Hukta, Haurashta. I believe the exaltation of that manifestation would be our divinities, which is in the empyrean of the Yazatas. And that is what we are striving for, and I'd like to know your opinion about that, sir. Thank you.
So far as I'm concerned, I would tell you very frankly, I'm a soldier and I believe in practical issues. I believe in Humata, Hukta, Varasta, which means you personally have a good mind. You personally behave yourself, lead a good, righteous life. And that is what is important. And if you have that mind, you will automatically develop these issues of helping others, having an open mind, having kind-hearted. And these 3 principles, I may tell you, have helped me in my life in uniform. I very, very distinctly followed these, and it has helped me to prosper in my professional career also. To give you an example, I will talk about the field marshal. People have asked me when we gave presentation of our book, was he a good Zoroastrian? Now, what is the meaning of a good Zoroastrian? Does that mean that he was wearing a Sadra Kasti? I said, no. It is, he did not say any prayers. Maybe he would have said, but he did not wear a Sadra Kasti. But he followed the ethics of our faith in his life. And he preached, he practiced what he preached. For example, he had given his word on 14th of December to Pakistani soldiers in Bangladesh, then in East Pakistan, that if you surrender, I will look after you. I will look after you as per Geneva Convention. When they became prisoners of war, they were very well looked after. And it went to the extent that there was a question in the Indian Parliament that the chief is treating them as our guests. He turned around and said, look, they are soldiers. I have given them my word and I have acted accordingly. So that is what it is.
Thank you.
How about the Matra Sapanta, Vashusha Matra? Do you have any opinion about that, Ayurved Saib?
I will not. I'm sorry to say, I don't have.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Billamoria. If there are any other questions, we will take them now. Just put your hand up. I have a question in the interim period till someone puts their hand up. And that is to Radman. And then I have a question for Cyrus Driver. But please put your hand up in the meantime, because we want to hear from all our participants. We've got people from different time zones, some at 1 or 2 o'clock at night for them. Radman, you did not tell us anything about your company, Gitti. And I'd like to know something from you about putting together this think tank, a futuristic thought process to put into action the guidance in your mind that Asho Zarathustra Sahib has given you for sustainable development.
Yes. Thank you for your question. In the Gita, we're trying to gather thinkers from different disciplines and to think about the future and preferable future and what could be in the future, what we want to be in the future. And also we explore the possible futures, because these two interact with each other. But the main idea I'm following is social psychotechnologies, because I think that the human advancement, the main reason, main driver for human advancement is advancement in the social psychotechnologies. That the way we can work together, think together, and create together. And it is more important and important than the physical technology, because physical technology is outcome of way of or our way of thinking. And also, I think the physical technology is like, for example, a car engine power, but the social psychotechnology is a driving skills of drivers. So if we are just focused on the physical technology, we have a car that go faster and faster, but our driving or cognition skills are the same, and that's really dangerous for future of human. So what I'm working on is that how we can think together and create integrity between our minds. And in Giti, we are following this path.
Thank you very much. Over to you, Farooq, and then come back with my question to Cyrus. Thank you.
I want to follow up with what Karishma just asked Ratman. I want to preface the question with the following. They are businesses run by Zoroastrians, and they are businesses that are Zoroastrians run by Zoroastrians. There's a difference between the two. I think it is appropriate for you as a young entrepreneur to share why Reynag happens to be a Zoroastrian business run by a Zoroastrian. Go ahead.
Yes, exactly. And the difference is if a business create the world better place and create advancement in human welfare and happiness, I think that's Zoroastrian business. And if business just make money and without doing a meaningful thing, I think that's not a Zoroastrian business, in my opinion.
Thank you, Ratman.
To piggyback on what Ratman has said, to summarize it, what Ratman has created in Iran is a Zoroastrian enterprise that seeks to create intellectual, economic, and social wealth. This is incredibly important. So if you look at Tata's, which happens to be one of the big houses, intellectual, economic, and social. You look at Godrej's, they do similar sorts of things, not quite the same as Tata's. Ratman in Iran, as a Zoroastrian enterprise, is doing that. And so I would suggest to people who are tuned in that connecting with Reynag and Ratman may be of interest, because that may have the seeds of a Zoroastrian enterprise that may grow in 50 years to be something like the Tatas. At present, he employs 5 Zoroastrian people who are all members of the IZYM, and each of them is committed to this notion of creating intellectual, economic, and social value. Thank you. So, Cyrus, you may be interested in hosting a session on what it means to be a Zoroastrian enterprise. So there's a big difference between an enterprise run by a Zoroastrian and a Zoroastrian enterprise. What makes that happen? What is it all about?
Yes. No, fascinating point. Thank you, Farooq.
Thank you, Farah, for all your support.
Hey, Behram.
Behram says. Any other questions from anybody else? Okay, I have a question for Cyrus. Cyrus, in the year that's, let me just admit Armita, Mavidya Armita. In the year from now until the Congress happens next year, what can we all do to support the Congress? What are you looking, what's your ask to the global Zartushti community?
That is a great question, Karishma. Thank you for asking it. So one is, if many of you are so learned and you have so much to share, we may not know you. We have a page on our website where people can apply to be speakers. If you have a voice you'd want to share, the community can benefit from, please apply there. That would be one request. The second would be, the Congress is lifted if we have a lot of young people present and active. So please, in your own associations, find a way to encourage, maybe subsidize youngsters to show up. Singapore can be a long flight away from many places. And the third is, if you see something that you think is not great in the Congress or something in our plans, it's up on our website, you don't agree with, we'd love to hear from you. Please do share.
You've given the global Zartushti community a way of making the next World Zoroastrian Congress their own and be a part of your extension in the true Zartushti idea of Yat Vasna Prashostamem Staumya Shem. It is our duty, as our Kasti prayers tell us, to bring about that transformation and bring about Prashokeriti. We're all committed to it, and here you have an opening contributing to the World Congress. Excellent idea, Cyrus. Thank you.
Beautifully put, Karishma. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we are now moving into the section of sharing. If some of you have ideas you want to share, we will stay on the call in the recorded section, but each of you is empowered to share your thoughts, community ideas, experiences with your Agyaris or your Mabit Sahibs. Please move on to that section now. And then we'll stop the recording and some of us can still stay on the call, and all those who didn't want themselves recorded can then share. Okay? All right. Hands? No hands? Okay, Behram sir, question to you, but it's also to Cyrus Driver. It's also to Ervad Sahib Yazad Sidwa. And from each of your perspectives, because I know each of you is involved with the next generations and the previous generation. So what is, in your perspective, we'll start with Behram Phantaki Sahib. What, in your perspective, is the way forward to create this bridge between the different generations? Your thoughts.
Firstly, I would say that there are two aspects to it. First is to find out from this young generation, what are they looking for? Because right now, every one of us, very frankly, majority of us are talking about this should happen, that should happen, this is how the work should be done, this is how the prayers should be recited, this is what the scriptures say. But please find out what is the generation, what are they looking for? And in my presentations, many a times I've said, I'm standing in front of you and I've talked. Please let me know what is it that you expect from me. And that will tell me how to behave, how to act, what to do. So unless I know your problems, your issues, how can I come in front of you and talk about it? Because many a times, previous generation talks about it from that stage, he preaches, but the audience doesn't agree to it because the ideas don't match, their requirements are totally different. So he may not be looking, he's sitting there and saying, look, you're talking rubbish. It is not practical. It is not implemented. So I would say that for previous generation, it is better, as I said in my script, please, it is not for you to say good things. at least hear what others are saying, and then work out a plan. And that is the future, I would say. And it is more important in the Western Hemisphere. Let me tell you this. My experience having lived here, this is what I find. And that is where the difference is. And let me tell you, I'm not being degrading one way or the other. In India, we are following our faith through traditions, practices, and customs. We are not following the faith through education. Whereas on the Western Hemisphere, Western world, it is the questions: why are we doing it? Why did we do this? And if we accept this idea, then we may be at a stage where we may have to give a correction in our practices and in our faith. And then we can fall. That is my statement. Thank you.
Thank you for that insight. Yes, the youth has wisdom that needs to be tapped into because they contribute the Mazda, or they're part of the greater Mazda. And with that, let us come to Arbat Sahib Yazad Sidhwa, who bridges Mobedi and the world in which the principles have to take action. I won't call it the real world because I think Mobedi is part of the real world, because there we get the guidance. Over to you, Arbat Sahib.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the youth have a pretty important role in the future of our community, not just because the Gathas are the ancient teachings, but they're practical philosophies for how we should think and choose and live. And so I think young people today are navigating the world that it's a pretty rapidly fast changing world. And so there's a lot of challenges in new ways, but I think using the good mind or your BaHumata is essential about thinking clearly and acting with intention. So I believe the future of our community depends not on just memorizing these texts, but actually on living the values such as like kindness, truth, responsibility, purpose, and so when the youth when we understand the spirit behind the prayers and the philosophy, they can naturally become ambassadors of our faith. And so it's not just about memorization. And so I think the best thing we can do is make our teachings more accessible like we are doing and more relatable and rooted in our everyday life. And so I think, yeah, when young people feel that faith and it helps them think better, that's how we can bridge that gap between the two. But yeah.
So in strange ways, both our speakers right now have actually paraphrased two different verses of the Gathas for us. Arbatsai Beram, Brigadier Pantaki, in one way reference Yasna 51.5, which says, ask all questions in the interest of Asha, for the benefit of the community. And he's asking us to listen to these questions that come from the youth. And Arbatsai Yazad Sidhwa, in a strange way, has given us guidance from Yasna 53.5, which is actually the guidance of Daksho Zartushtra said to his daughter on her wedding, but is great for teamwork across the global community because it talks about Vivangatu, shine each other. So help each other shine. So it's not about just myself or sacrifice one for the other. And I think you talked about that in your talk as well. So thank you. So help each other shine and listen to each other. Thank you very much.
If I may just follow up on that, I would say, Irasai Brigadier Pantaki, every word you said resonated with me completely, and also what Yazad said. And I hope, Brigadier Pantaki, you're planning to come to the Congress, because I think voices.
You've muted yourself.
Sorry. Just say voices such as Brigadier Pantaki's is what a lot of our youth need to hear. And I speak as a parent of 3 children. If I tell them they have to do something just because it's been done a particular way in the past, they may not disagree with me outwardly, but inwardly they are switching off. There has to be an engagement on why. We have to be open to what is important to them, and find ways to connect the values, the ethos, the scripture, in language that speaks to them. I don't always hear it so well articulated, Brigadier Pantaki. Sincerely hope you're joining us next year in Singapore.
Thank you. Thank you.
I have a question from Farooq Mistry.
I want to piggyback on this issue of education and the asking of why. I've been in academia for over 48 years, almost 50. And if we follow the why that Behram talks about, then we could end up with a polarized society as we have in the United States right now. Why do I say that? There's a difference between education anchored in this notion of facts only to education that is set up so that the individual is able to look within himself and say, this is true and this is not true. Because principles are involved, not just facts. So the mind and the heart have to come together. Just asking why does not allow the mind and the heart to get together. So just as I mentioned that there's a difference between a business run by a Zoroastrian and a Zoroastrian business, there's a difference between in education between what we have been doing in the United States for some time and what some people are talking about, and that is called generative learning. It is not rote learning, it is not pedantic learning, but generative learning. What does that mean? The individual determines his or her identity, her intellectual identity, societal identity, community identity, and then in the context of that identity, learns how to grow. That is what we should be promoting. And how does that happen? That starts with Zoroastrian parenting. That does not start with children who stand up and say, I know more than my parents, because it's the culture that has to be passed on. It is not just the facts and figures or the understanding of the Gathas. It's much more than that. So Cyrus, you mentioned, and also Yazid, you mentioned, hey, listen to the young people. When you listen to the young people and say this is what they want, their experience is limited. How far can they go? They've been conditioned in the United States in the way in which the people in the United States think. If you continue that way, there's a strong possibility that we will have a rift in our community, just like we have a rift in the United States. That's my 2-penny contribution to you.
Thank you very much. We have a question from Mrs. Pantaki, the boss.
Yeah, the boss. No, I'm going to speak from personal experience. And while I agree with Behram, I also agree with Farooq. It's the way you kind of mold the next generation, which is important. And I'm referring to my own grandson, who, when he was about 5 or 7 years old, had come to spend the day with us. And he peered downstairs to make sure his grandfather was not listening, because he has this, Papa's the head priest of the association here. And then he whispers to me and he says, Granny, I don't believe that there is a God. So I kept a very straight face and I said, really? Why not? You just learned about the digestive system and the intestines and your heart. And so who made all that? How did you manage to get that? And how does that work? So he looks at me and he says, at 7, he looks at me and he says, that's not God, that's nature. So I kept a very straight face and I said, yes, but when we pray at night, after that, Papa gives you, he calls Behram Papa, Papa gives you Jartho Sahib's picture and says, talk to him. And then you hug him and you whisper something to him. So I said, you share your secrets with him, which you don't even share with us. So then that is what God is all about. You ask him for things, you share your secrets with him. Oh, he's somewhat like Santa Claus. So I said, well, it's somebody you talk to, it's somebody you relate your thoughts to, which you don't even share sometimes with us. So I said, that is what God is all about. So I think you have to moderate it to the age of the child, and somehow you've got to convince them, but you can't be confrontational.
That's a very interesting thought, Auntie Zenobia, because what you've done is you've raised this concept of what is Aura Mazda. And the North American Muppets Council has done a wonderful session in September 2025, 3 weeks in a row. And we put together speakers from around the world to address this. But what you told your grandson is really this idea of what we do before each meal we have. We say, "Ithat yazamaide aurem mazdam."
Yeah.
There itself in the Jamwani Baj, we have the explanation of what is Aura Mazda related to the food we eat and to the good deeds we can manifest through taking it in. So I think
And
the way you've done it is brilliant.
And then it has an effect, because last night he had come. He went down in the morning. He did his Datan Kasti. And then I saw him. I went down to see what he's doing. And he was standing near the Jarto Sahibni Sabi and praying.
Lovely. We have a question from iPhone 17, it's called. If you don't raise your hand now, then I will read out your question because it's a relevant question. Yes? Hand up. I can't find you otherwise to give you a voice, or rather make your voice heard. Okay, the question is this. It's to Arbatab Yazad. iPhone 17 appreciates the clear presentation that you made, so thank you very much, and asks you, as a youth, how do you realize or practice the topics you discussed?
Yeah. So as a youth, I try to practice these topics in small everyday ways. And so for me, it's never about doing something big or dramatic, and it's more about the little habits, I would say. Like I mentioned, like just pausing before I act, or even taking a second to think things through and trying to choose honesty, even when it feels a bit uncomfortable, and using kindness instead of reacting quickly. And so life gets really busy, and all of us get caught up in work, in school, or whatever is going on. And so I feel like we can still make space for these small moments of awareness. And they don't take long, but they add up over time. And so I would say the idea of the good mind Bahumana helps a lot whenever I'm stressed and making decisions every day at work and dealing with people. I try to remind myself to think clearly and intentionally, and that small shift changes how I respond to things. And so I definitely haven't mastered anything, but I try to live these teachings in simple everyday choices. And so it's a process, and I'm still learning. But yeah, that's how I would practice. That's how I practice it.
That's a brilliant answer. Yet again, Arbat Sahib Yazad has referenced several of the Gothic verses in such simple language that we can understand it. In fact, he effectively has also referenced what Cyrus Driver talked about, 3311, which is when we can think intentionally, we are manifesting our mighty, devotional, beneficent, yet resolute mind, Aramat, together with Asha and Kshatravairya, to put into action the good thoughts towards good deeds. On that note, let us conclude the formal part of this session, realizing that in that infinity, according to the Zoroastrian understanding, the idea of the Fravashi in itself gives us the idea that divinity and infinity are not just themes that we need to bring together, but we are part of it, because the Fravashi is that essence of Aura Mazda in each one of creation. Therefore, are we not all part of the Aura Mazda? Therefore, is there not divinity in each one of us, and thereby are we not part of that infinite divine? And putting the onus on us to use our good mind for all these good deeds and good actions and good words, we'll now ask Arbat Sahib Yazid, the wisdom of today and tomorrow, to please give us a final Hambandaki. And then feel free to stay on for the non-recorded part of the community building. Thank you.
Thank you. If you all join me, and we'll do one Yata Weryo, one Ashem Bahu. Yata Weryo, Ataratush, Ashachita Cha, Vangayush, Taslam Maningo, Shautananam, Angayush Mazdai, Shatrincha, Aurai, Ayim, Dregubyo, Darat Ashem Vahu, Vaise Masti, Ushta Wamai, Yadashai, Vaisai, Ashem. Thank you.
Thank you, Arbat Sahib Sidhwa. As each of you goes into the new year, we wish you all a very, very happy 2026 in advance. There is a beautiful verse at the beginning of the Gathas that we can end with, and that is this verse, so that we have the guidance for the new year. And it says, with hands uplifted, to pray and to help others. I pray to the Mazda in my mind foremost, which is beneficent, so that with righteous deeds and the wisdom of the good mind and thoughts, we seek to please the soul of all creation. Thank you. Nama, could you sing that Gatha verse for us before we close? Ayayasa Nemanga. Okay. So that we focus on this as we go into the new year. Then I'll stop the recording.
Ayayasa Nemanga Oshano Tastu Rafidrayam Mani Ushmazdao Porvi Spentayam Ashal Vispe Short nights Vangel Manango Ya Trevicha Geusha Urbanim Oshano Sasso Rafidream
Thank you.
Asha Vispe Shotna.
Thank you, Mamu. Thank you to each one of you who have joined. Take these words forward, attend the Congress, build the community. And good luck with all your good deeds in every way.